Hello and welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel, whichever one it may be. And if you are new here, please feel free to like, subscribe, comment, to all those wonderful things, and join this fabulous vampire cat tribe. Anyway, we're back here today with Together We Are Magic by Jody Bergsma from Diamond Art Club. And I'm working on this for the Diamond Paint with Friends, Love is in the Air, which is being hosted by Enza's Diamond Painting Gallery. Sorry, I just had an allergy attack and my allergies are just going absolutely haywire right now. Anyway, let's see. So this is going to be a WIP and Chat. I had a really kind of boring week, so there's not much going on. I don't really do much right now, so there's really not much going on. Kind of just sit at home and diamond paint, which is why I'm almost 2 rows complete on this diamond painting, because yeah, that's really all I do, which is kind of sad. I am trying to get a job, desperately trying to get a job so I can have money. But for the time being, this is my life. Oh, my cat's walking through and she just shook her foot. It was really weird. I don't know what she was doing. Why is she shaking her foot? So I thought I'd talk about, in this particular diamond painting, we have butterflies and we have horses. I'm not in, I love butterflies. I think they're beautiful, but I'm not a, whatever the insect person would be. I don't really know that much about them, but I do know quite a bit about horses because I rode them for a very long time and I still own a horse. Even though she's still in Florida. I miss her. Absolutely miss her. Let's see. So in this picture, I'm gonna guess that we have 2 grays, and I think they're unicorns, which, you know, it's always the standard with unicorns to be white for some reason. I don't know why. I feel like unicorns can be any color of horse that there is. You can have a bay unicorn, a black unicorn, a chestnut unicorn, maybe a palomino. Those are all coat colors for horses. The Arabian, which is what my horse is, tends to be kind of depicted as being gray a lot. And while gray is a common color, I don't think it's the most common color in Arabians. They're always depicted as gray, but I really feel like I see a lot of bays and chestnuts more than you see grays. Like, you do see a lot of grays, but, and they're called gray, not white, even though the horse might look white to someone else. They're called gray. And a lot of times they have kind of dappling, which would be spots on them. Like my cat has dappling. She has spots on her and she's a gray. She's actually gray. Cookie, you met Cookie. And yeah, so Arabians are really where I know my thing. I rode every single seat that there is because I didn't know what I wanted to ride. I started off riding hunt seat. That's the, when you see people riding horseback, generally you see them in 2 seats. You see them riding English or you see them riding Western. English actually has more than 1 seat. And Western is what it is. It's Western. It was developed here in the US, and it's the Western style of riding because we were the West. Western, West. So I rode hunt seat first, and hunt seat is when you see them jumping the horses over fences. typically, not always jumping, but a lot of it is jumping. And I rode at a barn where they had me ride one particular horse because I was the only person that could get this horse to jump a fence. Now, I realized at some point that if the horse doesn't want to jump, why are we making it jump? Like, the horse literally didn't like it, didn't want to do it. Why are we doing it? So I said, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to try Western riding. And so I switched to Western at that point because I thought, oh yeah, Western, this will be cool. It's different. It's fun. I actually kind of liked English with the jumping because it was a little bit more exciting, a little bit more thrilling. Whereas Western, it's kind of a slow and steady. Yeah, you can have that crazy, you see them roping the cattle or running around barrels and stuff. But the style that I did, or what I did, would be showing Western, which is very slow. Their trot is slow, their canter is slow, and those are different gaits that a horse does. So there is the walk, the trot, and the canter. A walk is I think it's a 4-beat gait. So all 4 feet touch the ground as the horse moves. The trot is a 2-beat gait. So when they're moving, they have 2 feet on the ground at the same time. And the canter, there is actually a moment where the horse only has 1 foot on the ground at the canter. I think it's a 3-beat gait though. 1, 2, 3, yeah. 3-beat gait. But there's a moment where a horse is only 1 foot on the ground at the canter, and then there's a moment where they're literally flying. It's pretty cool. And then the next gait up from the canter is the gallop. And that's where the horse is running, pelt out. Nothing holding them back. They're just running. Racehorses, basically gallop. That's what they do. So I switched to Western riding, and we switched farms. We found a farm that taught Western riding because that's what I wanted to learn. And it was cool. And I showed Western, and it was okay. And I enjoy riding no matter what I ride. I just want to ride a horse, but it doesn't matter what seat they do at this point. I don't care. But I will say that out of the styles of riding or the disciplines of riding that I did, Western was my least favorite. Because it is a little slower. It's less exciting. Not as much thrill. There could be, I suppose, but it's not what I did. So I was riding Western, and there was a horse at the barn who did a saddle seat. And I don't know, I just fell in love with that horse. That horse was my heart horse. Like, truly was. We had a connection right from the start. Like, there was just something about this horse. And I got to ride him. I never got to own him. But I got to ride him for quite a while. And I think I leased him for 2 years. So it was kind of like owning him, where I got to do everything with him. And we competed in saddle seat. And then we did show hack, which is very similar in style to dressage. And we did really well together. But saddle seat, I learned, was the seat that I enjoyed the most because it was more exciting. It was more thrilling. Your horse is going faster. Usually the horses are a little bit more crazy than the other horses. They're a little bit more geared up, a little bit more excited than riding in the other disciplines because of what they're doing. And in the classes with saddle seat, I mean, people tend to whoop and holler and cheer too when the horses are trotting because their trots look really fancy. This is not, I can't think of the name of it now. Oh my gosh. This is not the Big Lick. The Big Lick is nasty. It's not good. I don't like it. I don't agree with it. That's not what I did. Saddle seat is different. It's just like riding any other English discipline. It's just that the horses tend to have bigger trots. A lot of dressage horses also have the same kind of trot anyway, so it's not anything unnatural. It is a natural thing that the horses do. They do trot like this naturally. They're not being forced to do it. Like the Big Lick horses are being forced to move the way that they're moving. My cats want in. I better go get them. Rebel's gonna start meowing pretty soon. I can tell. He's looking at the door handle. I'm surprised he hasn't learned how to open it himself. Let me go get Rebel. Sometimes that cat, I just don't know. He decided to stay out there. He just danced in front of the door while I stood there holding it open, and I'm like, are you gonna come in? He just asked to come in. Now he's sitting at the door again asking to come in. Oh my goodness. Rebel, you want in? Rebel. All right, I better go get him again. Okay. He doesn't want to come in. He wants me to go out. He wants to go for a walk together, because we do that. And we go out when we go for a walk. And he likes it. He loves it a lot. So anyway, where was I talking about? Oh yeah. Yeah, the Big Lick and saddle seat are not the same thing. They might look the same, but they are not the same. Not even close. So I rode that horse. We went to regional championships, and we did really well together. And I think we showed for like 2 or 3 years together. I showed him 1 year when I wasn't leasing him, and I think I showed him for 2 years after that where I was leasing him. Anyway, and then we got my horse, actually, while I was still riding him. We got my current horse because we had gotten a young horse and he wasn't integrating with the 2 older horses that were already on the farm where I not where I was taking lessons, but there was a farm next to our house, so that farm. So we ended up getting my horse, and she was a baby that didn't know anything. So I basically got to teach her everything she knows, except for the under saddle part, because I wasn't allowed to do that. I was not allowed to teach my own horse the under saddle part. Somebody else trained my horse in that. But after that, everything else she learned was from me. I took lessons and I did everything myself. She is a wonderful horse, absolutely wonderful horse. She's gonna be 28 years old this summer. Yeah. I got her as a baby, remember that. She was only a year old when we got her. And she's gonna be 28. They grow up so fast. But she's still doing good. She's doing really good. She loves Florida. I don't think I'd ever, maybe we would consider taking her here to South Carolina, because I don't think it would be that much of a change for her, but she'd never go back up to Massachusetts. And yeah, so she We started out with just regular hunter pleasure hunt seat, which is the hunter pleasure would be the on the ground version of hunt seat, because hunt seat is jumping and hunter pleasure is just riding. And I need to get the next color. This one? Is this one in here? No. Maybe, but I don't see it. I don't think this one is. I think that's in the horse, not the butterfly. And I don't know if it's showing up on camera, but I have changed some of the drills in here. Like the one I was just working on is now a pixie dust, because I thought that would look really cool with the butterfly, and my husband thought it would be better to have the butterfly have something that just makes it stand out a little more. So he said to go with something different there. And I think it works. This one is. Finding the next color to do sometimes can be hard. Alright. So yeah, so we started out riding my horse in just classic hunter pleasure. And I showed her in that, and then we started Western training because we thought she'd be really good at it. Yeah, she was great at it. She could have been a nationals champion. She was so good at Western. We never made it that far because life kind of started to get into the way. I went to college, as happens. And then I started in the workaday world, and showing just got harder at that point, because now I had to pay for it myself. Whereas before I didn't have to pay for it. But now I'm in the workaday world. Now I have to pay for it myself, and yeah, I always ended up in the lower end jobs, just kind of struggling to get by for the most part. And then I moved to Florida, and that was the end of that. To work for Disney. The only dream I ever followed was to work for Disney. It was a dream of mine to work for Disney, and I did. My other dream is DreamWorks, so I'm still working on that one. I don't know if I'd ever work for DreamWorks. I don't even know what I would do for DreamWorks if I did work for DreamWorks. So, I don't know. I suppose I could do some office type job. But anyway, yeah, I moved to Florida, and then at the end of that year, she moved to Florida, and she was already starting to get kind of on the older side, and it got difficult to go see her because we chose a barn that was an hour away. And it always was an hour away. So that meant that 2 hours of my day was driving to see my horse and then going back home. And you don't think about it as being like it's something you want to do. You want to go see your horse. But you have to think about the fact of how many hours in your day you actually get for you. Working at Disney, I felt like I had more freedom as far as my time went. But once I started working for Coke, that went out the window. Like, I had no time freedom, and I was exhausted all the time. So I started not seeing her so much. But that was my horses and what I rode. But we can talk a little bit more, I guess, about the different disciplines of riding, like hunt seat, the jumping. So like I said, it's the jumping, and I want to say that it's an English style of riding. So it started in England area, but not really, because horses were being ridden before that. The Greeks rode them, the Romans rode them. But with the English style of riding, they were mostly using it for hunting purposes and mostly for hunting purposes, I think, and then traveling around, because horses were the form of transportation. And so with English, sitting in that saddle for a long extended period of time, you know, in Europe, or let's say in England and Scotland and Ireland, and I don't know as much about Scotland or Ireland, but in England, like, they probably didn't really have to go that far to go places. So when they started developing the United States, traveling around on your horse or riding around on your horse, you were in the saddle for a lot longer. You were riding for a longer period of time. So they wanted to develop a saddle that would be comfortable for sitting for a more extended period of time, whereas the English saddle was comfortable for the hunt, for jumping. It was easier for the horse's movement and stuff. So the Western saddle was actually developed for comfort purposes. And then from there, and it is, if you can feel more secure in a Western saddle than you do in an English saddle, for sure. You know, like a Western saddle kind of locks you in place a little bit because you got the horn in front. You've also got the horn in front that you can grab onto. If you think about like the Pony Express and stuff like that, trying to ride those horses in an English saddle over the long distances that they had to go to carry the mail probably wouldn't have been fun. Also, the way that we drive, like how we drive on the roads, is actually from horses too. Like how we over here in the US drive on the left side of our cars and we drive on the right side of the road was from horses, because when you're driving a horse-drawn carriage, over here they were a lot bigger than they were over in England. Over in England, where they drive on the left side of the road and they sit in the right side of their cars, it's because over there their carriages were usually just one horse, maybe two horses, one or two horses. And because of that, the driver itself usually probably sat in the center of the cart or whatever it was that the horse was pulling. And thus, when they passed, they would pass right shoulder to right shoulder. So they would, because they were smaller, they were easier. But when you're driving a team of horses, the first horse on the left is the lead horse. So if you're driving more than two, if you're driving four, if you're driving six, the first horse on the left is the lead horse. And that horse would usually have a rider over here in the US. And because of that, they would pass left shoulder to left shoulder, so that the two riders could see each other as they were passing. And that's how come we drive the way we drive, and a lot of other countries do too. Actually, the majority is the same as how we drive in the US, because of the horses. It's a fun, interesting fact. Because we had to have a lot bigger carriages that were being drawn by more than one or two horses. We had 4 and 6 teams, sometimes even 5. They had 5-horse teams, 6-horse teams, 8-horse teams. I think the biggest is a 12-horse team. And you got to imagine what that's pulling. Probably train, because they use horses to pull everything. They didn't have cars, they didn't have trucks, they used horses to do it all. And oxen. Not so much cattle. Cattle don't have that ability to pull. They just don't have the same bone structure. Oh my goodness. allergies are really killing me today. I don't know why. Hyped up allergies. Oh well. But anyway, yeah, so that is why we drive the way we drive. And why they drive the way they drive, because you only had one driver, not a driver and a rider. Let's see what else were the fun facts about horses. I know. It's just like things that I'm just kind of pulling out of my memory. Oh yeah, we were talking about seats and the Western style of riding and why it came to be. And in Australia, they have a different saddle, which is like really comfortable too, for the same reason that our Western saddle was developed. They developed their saddle because they had to travel long distances too, of just sitting and riding in the saddle. And side saddle, I rode side saddle once. I never had a side saddle that fit me, so I never really got to ride it. But I did get to sit in a side saddle once. I would have loved it, honestly. I think that would be fun. And you can ride side saddle in any seat. So, side saddle was because women always wore dresses, and a lot of times, and it would just be unseemly for the woman to have her legs spread over the horse. She had to keep her legs together, so that's why the side saddle. And dressage. We haven't talked about dressage hardly at all. I did ride dressage a bit, and I was pretty good at it. I did pretty decent. My horse and I rode dressage together. She liked it. But the problem with her is she's so smart that she learned the pattern. So you couldn't practice the pattern at home. You had to only do it at the show. It kind of sucked. Because you couldn't really practice the pattern. You could practice elements of the pattern, but you couldn't practice the whole pattern, because otherwise she would learn it. And then she would just do it on her own. But dressage is actually the proper way to ride a horse. Because you are using only your legs, generally, in dressage. You don't really use your hands at all. You are only using your legs to communicate with the horse what you want it to do. To go forward, to go backwards, to move to the left, move to the right, like it's for movement and stuff. But it is, every seat has a foundation with dressage. Like, when you learn to ride a horse, you're technically learning dressage. Now I gotta find another color. This one's been in there, but I don't see it. This one's in here. Because dressage is the foundation of all riding. And now there's Western dressage. Back when I was showing, if there was Western dressage, my horse and I would have been on that. We would have done that. If we would have showed that, I'd probably still do it, to be honest. Now I've reached a point where I'm not as thrill-seeking as I was in my younger years. And I'd probably prefer to have a much calmer, quieter horse where all we do is just go out and pleasure ride, trail ride and stuff. But I currently don't have that ability to do that. Especially not working. So I'm just going to sit here and diamond paint. And maybe go for a walk with my cat. Because that's what I have the ability to do. I think, how are we doing for time? I don't want to go too. It's even recording. I don't know. Oh, great. It is, but I hate when it does that. When it resets itself. And then I don't notice. And I'm sorry. I had it all set up, I swear. So I'll do a little bit more. I took equine studies when I was in college. I only took a couple classes. I never went too far with it. I just figured I'd probably never own my own farm or own my own barn because it's just not in my cards. I'm not really social enough to be able to do it. I've struggled with giving lessons, so you know, I don't really know that it would have been my particular. Maybe I could have done it, but I see barn owners struggle with boarders all the time, and you know, finding boarders that you gel with and do good with and stuff is hard because people are so particular about how they want their horses cared for. So, you know, like, I'm happy to have my horse cared for properly, taken care of, plenty of food, she gets groomed, she gets attention, and she's taken care of, and I'm happy for that. But there are people who will literally take it to the extremes and be like, look, you're not doing enough for my horse, you're not, or they'll want specialty treatment. You know, specialty treatment, like, my horse deserves better than their horses because my horse is $100,000 horse. And my horse was almost a national champion. Yeah, we got her for free, but she was almost a national champion. There's nothing wrong with her. She's no different than any other horse. And neither is, like, any horse that's rescued or anything, but it was a very big thing I ran into in the horse industry. It was a lot of people would definitely, there's a lot of people out there that will treat any horse with the respect that it deserves because they'll understand that it's a horse. Any horse is a horse. And they are all capable of doing great things. But then there are those people that have spent $20,000 to $50,000 on a dressage horse or a jumper, sometimes even more. The racehorses go for millions, so. And they'll think that because of that, their horse deserves better treatment than the rescue Mustang who's competing at the same level of dressage as their horse. So, you know, you can't just put a horse down just because of where it came from, because it could have really amazing pedigree. And the only reason it ended up in that situation was just because of a bad situation. It's like a kid, you know? Or a cat or a dog or something. You know, it just ended up in there because of a bad situation. Someone wasn't taking care of it. Something happened. So, but yeah, that's the horse industry a little bit. I talked about all the seats. I talked about dressage. I talked about Western. We talked about hunt seat. Dressage, I think, came out of like, Spain and Portugal. But like I said, it's the foundation riding, so it's basically the riding that was original or started everything, except, you know, hopping on a horse bareback and just going. And just going. Because dressage is basically every seat without being every seat. Yeah. I can't think of anything else. So I think that's good. Let me go ahead and show you this picture and the progress that I've made on it, and then we will do an end to the video. All right, here it is. Together We Are Magic from Diamond Art Club that I'm working on for Diamond Paint with Friends. Love is in the Air edition. This is being hosted by Enza's Diamond Painted Gallery and co-hosted by Crafty Chef Diamond. They're both wonderful, amazing people. Please go check out their channels. I'll link them down in the description. But yes, so this is the progress that I've made on it so far. As you can see, I'm almost done with 2 rows. And it's looking really good. Like, it's looking absolutely stunning. Look at that butterfly. And from this angle, you can kind of see the added sparkle that I did to it just a little bit. And zoom in and then down. And there you go. Look at that. That is so pretty. And just zoom back out. And so pretty. And just go up. Absolutely stunning. Loosen this up a second. Can I? Thank you. All right. So there it is. Together We Are Magic. And it is looking absolutely stunning. These 2 horses are beautiful. All right, well, you're gonna slide down. There we go. So there we are. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.